Hello and welcome back to Serendipity Intended. My name is Tracy and I am so glad that you are here. It is still Junk Journal July, but I'm changing things up a little bit. I normally start out with my notebook closed and start from there, but there is a reason for the departure. Let's take a look at today's prompt. It is day 18 and the prompt for today is collage. And we are definitely going to jump into collage. In fact, let's go ahead and locate where I think I would like to do collage. This is going to be another fairly small, oh no, this fell out of my flower. Tragic, oh gee, it totally tore. Oh my goodness, I will have to fix that because that is not at all what I intended to happen. I will leave that right there to remind myself that I need to fix my sweet little flower. So flipping to the page that I'm going to use. Here it is. Oh, no, it's not here. I lied, it's here. So this is the page that I'm going to use, and I'm actually going to grab this piece of paper to cover this up just to help my brain focus on this page here, because this is the one I'm going to actually use for collage. And before I jump in, I wanted to talk a little bit about the kinds of things that we can do with collage. So in February, for the first time, I did a Februlage challenge, and that challenge was one where you were supposed to collage every single day. And when I looked at what other people were posting, it was a lot of collage where people actually made pictures out of their pages. So for example, something like this, where they collage elements together to create a picture. And that was very different from the kind of collage that I normally do. I typically do something more like on this page, where I just took some pieces and I collaged them together to create a background. So what I'm going to do today is more along the lines of this, where I collage a background and then I put something on top of it. That's just how I'm going to interpret the prompt for today. Mostly because it's the kind of collage that I'm in the mood for. So that's what I'm going to do, is just sort of a background collage. I have decided, even though I think this paper is pretty, it does not make my heart happy, and so I'm going to cover over it and put something else there instead. Now I am going to grab a little bit of wax paper and just tuck it in behind so that I don't get anything on the paper behind me. And I am also at least going to attempt to use a paper clip to hold this down a little bit so it's not wiggling a ton while I'm working on it. Now I did grab some scraps, and many of the scraps that are here in this pile are bits and pieces from other pages in the journal that I've already done, and a few of them are additions. And at least right now, I'm thinking, just because I love butterflies and haven't used enough of them, that I will use this butterfly as my focal point. Beyond that, I really don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm not sold on this. If something else strikes me to use for a focal image, I will. But the first thing that I need to do is take these bits and pieces and collage myself a background. And so without any further ado, let's just jump right in. right, so I have a first layer down. I did decide to bring this book page, which is from a French book, an old French book, onto the next page, just because I thought that would be kind of fun. So I've got some layers here. It's mostly neutral, and I'm good with that. And I think that so far what I have works well with my butterfly. I think I do want to find a way to work this piece in to the journal, and maybe also a little bit of this pinky coral color. And I also had set aside this little snippet of washi, and I think actually I will just go ahead and put that right here. So I've got a base layer, I suppose, down, and that is my collage element. And now's where I get to have just a little bit of fun, because I get to decide what else I want to do with the background, and then also what I might want to do with my butterfly here to help it kind of pop against the background and sort of finish this page off. Sorry, I paused the video because I was having a terrible time getting the washi off, and I needed to do that without the pressure of being on camera. So I love this washi. It's a real pale pink, and it's somewhat translucent, so it lets what's underneath kind of pop through just the tiniest bit. I've got this page here now with some background, but I think that I would like to introduce a little bit more texture, and I'm going to do that in a couple of ways. The first of which is I'm going to take just a little bit more of this tea bag, and I'm going to add it up here, and I'm going to let that kind of come onto this page as well, just because it will give a little bit more texture to the page. So I'm going to do that first, but rather than adhering the glue to the back of the item, I'm just going to put the glue directly onto the page. A little tricky here. Set it down, and then I'm actually going to squinch it just a bit so that I get some texture. I can still see through it. I get that translucent look, but I also get a little bit of the texture, and I think that is super fun. Then I have this piece of tissue paper, and while it's not white, it's got a little bit of green in it. I think it will also be interesting here, another translucent layer that I can kind of crumple over on this side. So I'm going to tear it a little bit, and again, I'm going to add some glue to the page and put my, how did I want to do this? I guess like this. Put this on here, and again, just let it crumple a bit to create a little bit of texture. So you can see we're starting to layer in that interest of just the tiniest bit. Now I also have a bit of this weird paper fiber thing that I have no idea where I got it from, but I think it's super interesting, and I do think that I want to use that behind my butterfly. Again, I did that earlier on another page, and I kind of want to stick with that idea. I also do want to use this, and I was thinking maybe of letting this hang over the edge just a bit to be a tab on the other side. I thought that would be super fun to do, and I like this text. Maybe I'll put it here. I don't want all of these straight edges though, so I am going to tear this edge down so that that's a little bit jaggedy. And then now, because this is going to be a tab, it's going to get more use than just the page itself. So I am going to use my art glitter glue to adhere. Whoa, I got a little overzealous with the glue. Yikesy, yikesy, yikesy. Let me smooth that out just a bit. All right, and we'll put that up just a little bit higher. All right, and then again here. Okay. So I do still need to get some of this in, and I think what I might do, I've got a lot of very organic edges going, and I think I might, just for grins and giggles, I think I might create something that's a little bit more geometric. And tear just the top and the bottom and layer that here for an extra little pop of color. Right, I definitely think the pink is the right choice, but this actually isn't as vibrant as I want it to be. But I do have an idea for something that I can do with this to kind of elevate it a bit. So in addition to my favorite neutral distress crayons, I also have a set of these super bright ones, and this is Picked Raspberry. And I think that might be really interesting on top of this sort of lighter coral color, to create something that's a little more similar to this pink. And I'm just gonna kind of scribble it on. And oh, this is sort of fun because the paper has some texture to it, and that texture is really popping out with the distress crayon. So I just basically used this to tint what I already had. I do this a lot with colored pencils. Here I did it with the distress crayon. And yeah, see, now I've got a much bigger pop than I did before. So that I am liking very much. I'm not gonna glue it down yet though, because I think I want to do some stamping on the background, not a ton, but a little bit. And I don't want to stamp on top of this. So let me go grab a couple of stamps and I will be right back. Okay, so I have grabbed this compass. I wanted something circular to go up here, and I thought the compass, just with the words here and now, the compass seemed like it made sense. So I grabbed that, and then I also grabbed this because I thought that might be interesting down here, just as a little bit of something to anchor things down. So let's see where this takes us. I'm going to use a Distressed Oxide Speckled Egg with this stamp. So let's go ahead, and I am going to grab my little mat to put underneath so I have a good firm surface on which to stamp. And this isn't a particularly juicy stamp pad. I don't really want the color super bright, but I definitely do want to be able to see it. All right. Yeah, that'll make a nice texture on the background. Let me stamp on here. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, so we've got that, and that looks really pretty. Again, it's not super, super obvious, but it adds a little bit of something. And then I'm just going to use my Ranger Jet Black Archival to do this compass, and I am going to bring it here, and I don't want to stamp on the other page, so I'm going to slide this over just to kind of help myself out. Ink it up, and maybe here. Okay, and then maybe also here, and then just the teeny teensiest bit, a little bit lighter. So kind of working in threes. Oops, it's not what I meant to do. Okay. All right, and then let's find somewhere to stamp. Save the impression for something else. Okay. And then again, we're going to put this coral piece here and the butterfly on top. So now that I've got this here, it's a little bit darker than what I wanted. So I am going to grab my Picket Fence Distress Crayon, and so this is archival, so it's dry. It's not going to smear. I'm just going to put a little bit on top of this just to tone it down a little bit. Ooh, it's actually kind of making an interesting texture on this, on the tea bag and the tissue paper, which I sort of like. So it's just a little lighter than it was before. It pushes it back into the background just this tiniest bit. I don't know what my issue is with the glue today. All right. Okay. And then let's go ahead and put just a tiny bit of glue on here. All right, I think we're almost there, but I do feel like I need something else behind this butterfly to just push it off of the background. So I'm gonna go back to my paper stash, see what I have, and I'll be right back. I went through my stash of tissue paper and other papers, and I grabbed a few things. So this is one of the layers of a napkin. Actually, it's just one layer of a printed napkin that actually had a butterfly print on it. So this was one option that I grabbed because I thought it could potentially help this butterfly pop from the background just the slightest bit. And it does, but it's it sort of feels stuck on to me. What happens if I do it? Okay, so at a little bit of an angle, I think makes it more interesting. All right, it's not a no, but I'm not super in love with it. So let's see what else I got here. I think this might be like entirely too dark, but I thought I'd try sort of the opposite direction with this printed tissue paper. So I'm gonna try it this way first, and yeah, this is way too dark. But what happens if I, okay, so it's a little more interesting if I put the printed side. Okay. So that could be interesting, particularly it's got a little bit of texture to it. All right, that's a maybe also. Don't hate it, don't love it. And then I grabbed this blue tissue paper again. This was a lot more color, but I thought that might be nice to sort of, oh, that might be it. So I'm gonna give this a little bit of a crumple. And then what happens if I put, oh, now see, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, okay. That is the direction I think that we're gonna go. I am going to put some glue here in the middle. And I'm going to set it, and then I am gonna squinch it a bit. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, so maybe the last thing that I need to do is trim. I do want to cut this white out and trim around the edges of these wings. So I will do that, and then we'll see whether or not I feel like I'm done. All right, so you can see I've cut out my wings, and that feels nice to me. So the last thing I really want to do, I want to add some, just a little bit more texture. Let me grab some of my stringy, is that what I need? I feel like I need a little bit of black. Now I have this black rayon thread. It's a little bit thick, but it might be just what I need. Let me just kind of swizzle this. What happens if I put this down kind of behind here? Nah, it's too tidy. Oh, though I wonder, what would happen if I let it trail? Oh, that's what I want to do. Yay, yay. Watch. So I'm going to grab these here and just tie them to hold them together and try and do this kind of flat. All right, and then because this is sort of a fabric-y kind of thing, I'm gonna grab my Fabri-Tac. Got all the glues going today. And I'm gonna put a little dollop on the back here for the strings. And no, that's not how I want them. I want them like this. And then I'll put a little bit on the top of this so that it can adhere. And then I'll go ahead and put this down. I'm gonna let the wings be loose to kind of give the illusion that it is flying. And then I will trim these loops so that they sort of trail a little bit behind my butterfly. And then just because I don't want them to hang straight down, I do want to be able to spread them out. I'm going to add a little bit more glue here. It's clear, so it ultimately won't be visible, but then I can spread them out a little bit coming out of the butterfly so that they aren't all bunched up. And there we go. Okay, I think that's kind of fun. I love that it hangs down below. Let me grab all of this stuff out of the way that I had put down to protect everything else. Okay, I'm sort of super happy with the way that this is turning out. I'm gonna grab, at the risk of doing too much, I'm gonna grab my Micron 005 and I'm going to trace particularly around the wings here. Actually, that's too thin. I'll grab my 01. Mostly around the wings here, just to give, that doesn't really translate. All right, not gonna worry about it. Okay, that works for me. So grab my label maker now and do a quick label, and then I think we might be done. All right, so my label is ready to go. I am gonna trim a tiny bit off the front, so now I gotta decide where to put it. And I did think possibly about putting it on the tab. It kind of works, or maybe even a little bit closer. But I also feel like maybe that distracts or detracts a little bit from the text that's behind. So I think I'm not gonna do that. I do have some space down here, and I think actually I really do prefer it just down there. So let's go ahead, we'll get the backing off, and then I am gonna trim this other end a tiny bit, and then we will go ahead and put that on. I love how this kind of extends beyond the page, kind of gives a little bit of a feeling of it flying. And I thought I was done, but I just had one other idea, and that is to do a little bit of hand doodling. Oh, that's why this didn't work, because my pen is dead. Oh, there we go. So a little bit of hand doodling, maybe with my thicker one, so my 0.05. And where I want to do it is on this brown strip right here. So again, I'm going to grab my mat just to put it under there so that I can have something firm and solid to write on. Maybe a smaller one. All right, I'm not the greatest expert on hand doodling, but I do think that adding your own marks to a page is always fun. I think it gives it a little bit of personality, and I like that. I think I'm going to add a little bit of hatch mark making. Down here as well, just a little bit of mark making there. And yeah. So now I think we're good. Got a completed page, and that was fun. I wanted some color to really accentuate the colors in the butterfly, and that paper, which I thought originally was just blue, but I'm now realizing there's a little bit of variation in the color, and that's super interesting as well. So adds just the dynamic dimension behind that I wanted. Right, and I think that is it for today. I hope that you find some time to make your own joy in your journal. Thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, I sincerely hope that you make a great day.